We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Hopefully, your day is going well. I want to say thanks to Trucker T for joining us yesterday. And just to keep the momentum going, we've got Will coming in today. And Will is no doubt heated up by some of the goofy motherfucking fucked up shit that we've got going on in this country. I know he's got a couple of pet points that he wants to talk about, but there's so much other fucked up shit. Well,
Oh
Jesus
my, oh
Christ.
my. It's amazing. I mean, last night was, sorry about bailing. I just had a headache and,
No, I get it.
be honest, yeah, and honest, like, it was like, I'm glad Trucker, I've been on his live. He's been on mine. He's sharp. So that's a good thing.
He's a smart
Helps
guy.
you
Yeah.
out.
People loved him. People
Um,
loved him just like they loved everybody else. So we're good.
um, I mean, it's been, wow. Even addressing today, before we address today, I want to talk about Saturday. Saturday.
Okay.
Um, two things to talk about Saturday. First of all, what happened in Minnesota was sad and disgusting. And Mike Lee is running around not saying a word to anyone. I saw your senator call him out for that disgusting tweet he put out. They're not even what, 10 hours from being attacked, and that motherfucker is putting that shit out. And that's what Trump's rolling with. They asked him if, hey, called Governor Wallace about him. Why would I call him? It's his fault, basically.
Yeah.
Motherfucker. But
Yeah.
I mean,
Donald Trump
that
doesn't read. Tina Smith went up to him and called him out.
I saw
And I
that.
don't know that that did anything, but Amy Klobuchar called him out too. And he took the tweets down. He hasn't apologized. He hasn't done anything,
No,
but he did take the tweets down. He's still a piece of shit.
he's hoping it'll go away
Right.
in a news cycle. I mean, they tried. He was walking out of the Capitol, and they asked him, questions. He didn't even say a word. He just kept walking to his car. And I've been in Utah. My brother-in-law lives in Utah.
I've
They're
been to
good
Utah.
people, and they're very supposedly religious. What are you going to do about it? I
Yeah.
got to ask, what you going to do? Is this man representative of your people and what you believe? Because if you truly believe in Christ and Christianity, even in Mormonism, that's acceptable? Just
Well, I tell you
asking.
this. I've had some experience with Mormons. I lived in northern Arizona
Mm,
years ago when I was a young man, and the whole town was pretty much Mormon. And they were very nice people. I never had a problem with any of them. They spent a lot of time trying to convert you. And
yes.
my mom had me for 20 years, tried to make me a Lutheran. That didn't work. So I thought the short time I'm going to be in Arizona, they're not going to make me a Mormon. But let's be honest, the Mormon religion is kind of an odd religion. They tend to be a little racist.
Hmm.
Um, they tend to be we're going to heaven and you guys are all fucked. That kind of attitude, kind of like the Catholics. So uh, some people even call Mormonism a cult, and it may, for all intents and purposes, by definition, be a
Yep.
cult. But you're absolutely right. If you follow the Bible and you follow Jesus, there's some certain things that you would want to follow, and if you don't, you have to question your faith.
If you and I've had the opportunity to be at the temple in Salt Lake City that was built in the 1800s.
Right.
I've been through that thing, and I describe it as the art of fanatics. That is an impressive building.
You went
What they've
inside?
done. Oh yeah. Well, not in the
Really?
temple. The temple grounds can't go in the temple unless you're a Mormon. No. But
Right.
I've been like where the Tabernacle Choir has. There's that dome building that they sing in. It's amazing. It's all made out of wood, handmade. They have an outside area that you can walk in. There's a spiral staircase you go up like a
It's
meeting area,
beautiful.
and they have a huge uh, statue of Jesus in there. It was all this is like 2 centuries old in
Yeah.
there. It's amazing. But the point is just common decency, just empathy is so lacking now amongst the far right. It's just unbelievable. Which brings us to the No Kings protest, which I thought was going to be, eh, it turned out, oh my, that's
Biggest
2%.
protest in history.
Yeah, I mean, 2% of the population just came out and said, this is dumb.
Yeah.
They just walked and they said it was dumb. Some people had signs that were hilarious. They had one sign in Los Angeles. He goes, you made an Asian person stand out in the sun, you monster. That was beautiful. But the best sign for me was someone who put up a sign with a picture of Pedro Pascal on it and said, that's the only king I'll kneel to. I thought it was great. But the point is, the idea was that people were just saying, look, what you're doing is wrong. You cannot pick up people without due process. That's the thing. ICE has decided, and the federal government under Trump has decided that if you are not, if ICE picks you up, you have no rights. If ICE questions you, you have no rights. Old Soul found out about that,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And to watch people do that, and it wasn't violent. Don't give that shit what Fox News is showing. Fox News is
Yeah.
fucked. And they keep talking about, well, there's no king's process. Well, we got rid of the king. Yeah, the problem is your boy is acting like one. And
Right.
the worst thing about it, if you've ever seen, well, you've seen Disney films, you got young kids. Do you
Yeah.
remember Robin Hood, the one with the animals?
Yeah.
That one? King John is Donald Trump, right down
Yeah.
to sucking his thumb and asking for his mommy
Yeah.
because
Pretty
he's
much.
acting like that. So I was impressed by it. But I knew there was going to be a reaction to it, and we saw what happened because that parade, wow. Who the fuck brings out Sherman tanks on a parade? That
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and the soldiers, people are saying now the soldiers were, no, they weren't trained. All that. Really? Every vet I've heard say we know how to march by the end of the second week of basic training. Air
Right.
Force, Navy, Marines, Army. It only takes you because it's as one guy said, it's harder for you not to walk, not to march in unison with your fellow than it is just to walk.
Right.
And so that was malicious compliance, period. They didn't want to be there. They didn't look like they wanted to be there. They didn't wear dressed up. I
Well,
mean,
there are some people out on TikTok and some other places that are saying, "Oh, the No Kings protest. What'd you do? You accomplished nothing." And I have to say,
warning.
you had the largest protest in history, and then that was just on the cherry on top of maybe the worst military parade in history, an absolute embarrassment.
It was.
And we know it's an embarrassment because Donald Trump is now yelling at Pete Hegseth and
Oh, I
bitching
heard
about
about
the
that.
troops because they didn't do a good job. So we know No King's protest did a great job. We know that the parade was just a fucking disaster. And there are people out there going, there were 250,000 people. No, there wasn't. Just watch the live
No.
feed. There
Oh,
was 8,000.
I knew that was going to happen. They did that. It
Yeah.
only took them less than 24 hours to say no. It was that, and there was just, and then they went to all those people were paid actors in a No Kings protest. Really?
5 million, 5, 6, 7, 8,
Yeah.
9 million. Yeah.
Yeah. No
Yeah.
more. I mean, you're talking about 2% of the population. That's a lot. And here's the thing: they showed a picture in Boise, Idaho. Boise, fucking Idaho. Let's
Yeah.
be honest. All right. I mean, we had it here in Atlanta. I mean, and that's here's the irony. One of those MAGA fucks took the picture of the No Kings crowd in front of the Capitol here in Atlanta and said, "You see, Trump. This is Trump's true crowd in D.C." I go, man, that looks like the golden one here that I drive by in 75. What the
Yeah.
hell?
Yeah.
It's just, but the thing about it is that people aren't buying your shit.
No,
I
they're
mean,
not.
they're not buying your shit. And Trump's had, and as you said, a narcissist, a bully is the worst kinds of human being because they have no ego. They have no pride. They need people to continually tell them that they're loved. That's all
Yeah,
they
they
got.
have they have an ego, but they're insecure as you can possibly
Yeah,
be, and they need that reinforcement all the time. And if you give it to them, they'll reward you with whatever you want. But if you go against him, they'll do everything to try to destroy you. And that's, that's essentially what Donald did. You had the protest, you had the parade, and that was a perfect storm. That
yeah,
just deflated Donald Trump. And all you had to do was look at the parade and look at his face. He was pissed. He was sad. He was amazed. I think he was genuinely surprised that
yeah.
um, the No Kings protest. First of all, I don't even think he knew it was happening. Nobody told him. And then when he
Well, they don't
found
tell
out, he
me.
said, "I think you're lying." And now they find out
Hmm.
he's not lying. And then this parade, he tells himself in his head, "This is going to be the biggest parade ever." And then it isn't. Here's something that's interesting. We had the two shootings in Minnesota, right? And we
Unfortunately,
found out about it Saturday on No Kings protest day. Tim Walz and other politicians came out in Minnesota and said, "Listen, this is some dangerous shit. We haven't caught the guy. Don't go to any No Kings protests." They beg people, don't go to the No Kings protest. And you know what? Here in Minnesota, we had more than went to Donald Trump's parade.
yeah. And that's the one thing about Americans. That's what I keep saying. Americans will capitulate. And even if Trump decides he wants to go martial law, it's going to be worse. There was one vet. There's a great video of a vet who was out there amongst everyone, to youngsters. He was an older guy. I would guess uh, maybe Afghanistan, probably Iraq. Um, and he was just saying, "I thank you for that because this is what I fought for." He
Yeah,
goes, "You guys need to protest peacefully." And then his last statement was, "Until you can't."
right, right. Well,
And that's the.
pe-
Go ahead, sir.
people always bring up the martial law thing. And I think that Saturday protest gave you something to think about. We've always said, yeah, you can talk about martial law, but there's just too many people. Now, when this protest was about ready to start, we had sheriffs and we had people going, "We're going to run you down. If you get out of hand, we're going to kick your ass or we're going to shoot you dead." It wasn't violent. And with maybe 10 million people on the streets, ICE can't handle that. National Guard can't
No.
handle that. Nobody can handle it. If you've got 10, 15, 20 million people on the streets and they're mad, try to put fucking martial law in. It won't work.
And even if you start firing at people, God, I hate bringing that up.
Yeah.
They'll get swamped.
Yeah.
They'll get swamped because people will stop running and start getting upset and getting mad. And then they keep forgetting that Americans are well armed too. If you want
Yeah.
to go there, and I don't want to go there, I really don't. That's not was the purpose of that was a big fat fucking warning. Now, also to all you MAGA people who are spinning it like, well, the only king you should have is Jesus Christ.
Jesus.
Motherfuckers, I know that, okay? But that's my spiritual life. To use a term that you guys keep forgetting, give unto Caesar what is Caesar, give into to Christ what is Christ, or God what is God. That's God. I have nothing to do. You have replaced Trump with God.
Right.
You have worshipped Donald Trump. And that's your problem, but you don't realize because basically you're deep sick. You're deep in the cult. And also I'm getting tired of watching these people celebrate people getting picked up. Quick note, today ICE took a 3-year-old child out of a car in Compton.
Wow.
And people around them were trying to push, but they pulled weapons. Um, but
This was
see,
in
that's where they're
Compton?
at in
This was in
Compton.
Compton? I'm
Yeah.
surprised there
Now
wasn't a
understand
backlash in Compton.
well, they were trying to, but they were. I see people they yell and scream. There was one in one restaurant where because now they're back to picking up everybody. Stephen
Yeah.
Miller told the president to go fuck themselves. I'm going to get my hate on. Um,
Well,
but
is
there
it?
was
Well,
one thing.
we should just say that Donald Trump said, "Well, we're not going to. It's too tough on farmers and hotels. We're not going to raid farmers and hotels or farms and hotels." And then today they said, "Yeah, we're going to do it anyway."
Yeah,
That didn't
yeah,
mean
that's what
anything
it is.
before.
No, it's Stephen Miller just said he came out with the order, and it was just this was Sunday, and he went into a restaurant and arrested like a cook. And the one of the restaurant managers is like maybe 5'3" young girl is screaming at him, "Where's your warrant? Where you taking him? Where's your warrant? Why are you taking him?" And she so aggravated this fucking guy who's got to be a Proud Boy oath keeper that he went into the van and threw in there and pulled out his AR-15 and pointed it at her. And then they threw
Really?
flashbangs to get away from the crowd. These guys are
A
not cops.
pussies.
Yeah, they're not
No.
cops. And so, which brings us to today. The comptroller of New York City, who's basically the treasurer of the city, who handles all the money in the biggest city in the United States,
Yeah.
who's running for mayor, was escorting immigrants into courts. Now, the courts are complicit with this. They're just dismissing immigration court cases so ICE can pick them up. They're not helping these people. They're not having hearings. They're just dismissing them. And he was trying to help them. They're leaving, and ICE comes up to arrest the guy he was escorting, and he asks, "Where's your judicial warrant? Where's your warrant? Show me your warrant," which you should, correct?
Right.
And and what did they do? They grabbed him. They grabbed the elected comptroller of the city of New York, threw him on a wall, arrested him, and dragged him away to detention. He later today has been charged with assaulting an ICE officer. What I saw was he was just asking for a warning. You were grabbing the guy, but that's where they're going to. I would imagine in about 2 or 3 hours, because we're doing this during daylight, Christy Nome would come up. Yeah, he was just abusing officers. They're saying this even though the video evidence doesn't show it, like they
Right.
did to the Democratic congressman in New
Senator,
Jersey and
yeah.
what they did to Alex Padilla in Los Angeles, the senator for California. They're going to say it because they know who's going to do what to them,
Well, and that's the
and
only thing
that's
they've
the worst
got.
part.
They can't charge him with anything else because they haven't done anything else. So they'll say,
No,
well, he assaulted an officer. I'm going to tell you what, you keep this heat up like this, you're going to see some ISIS people fucking assaulted, but it's going to be deadly.
yeah, I mean, the thing about it is that he had security, but they didn't press. It's getting ridiculous because these guys with these, they've given him ice. They just basically say, do whatever you want. No one's going to stop you. At
Right.
this point, they're right.
Yeah, they are
I'm
right.
sorry to say it's the truth. And you've got detention centers. And I mean, like, again, if you didn't see the video or the podcast with Old Soul, y'all go see it. But when the one thing that made me literally almost break my phone in half when I was watching it, it was when she says, "Where's your warrant? Why are you arrested? You're not being arrested. You'll be detained." I go, and I'm sitting there, and my wife got mad because the first thing out of my mouth, "What's the fucking difference?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
allowed my due process. Detained, arrest, what? Don't fucking schematics me, you motherfuckers." And the thing
Well,
about it is, go ahead. I'm sorry.
well, no, people were talking to me about it when I was going to do this, and they said, well, well, they told Old Soul that probably shouldn't talk about it because it could be dangerous with MAGA and all that stuff. And in Old Soul fashion, she says, fuck it, I'm talking about it. And
Yeah.
of course, she comes on the show shortly thereafter. And I got people saying, well, people might threaten you. I don't give a fuck. I'm not afraid of these motherfuckers. They're pussies. From Donald
Yeah.
Trump all the way down. You're cowards. You're pussies. You want to fucking mix it up? Let's go. But they
And
won't.
if you want a prime example, did you see some of the MAGA that showed up during the protest? Oh, those
No,
motherfuckers found they were FAFO big time. They really did. The Proud Boys in Atlanta, the musicians chased them out with just blowing horns on them. There was a guy in started up. He started to abuse people. Police arrested him because he abused someone. They don't like it because they're used to people going running away because they're the loudest. The
yeah,
problem is they are the loudest, but they're cowards. They're always cowards.
right.
I mean, I've had people saying, "What are you gonna do?" I go, "Show." That one guy showed me his tattoo, saying, "What are you gonna do?" He said, "Well, look at this. Said, I sent a video because, yeah, whatever, dude. I'm 63. Come find me. Because I'll tell you one thing, I don't fight fair.
Oh,
Okay? I don't care. Because the point is, what are you going to do to me? I
yeah,
mean, what are you going to do? I mean, you guys have been low fillating for fucking 10 years. You guys are all the people everyone hates in every town. We hate you. We put
yeah,
up with you. We don't want you around. And the problem is, Donald, the reason you love Trump because he's you. He's you
yeah.
with money.
A
Period.
blowhard bully, a blowhard bully,
Mhm.
and I've known my share of blowhard bullies. And every time I've known one, it's you stand up to them and say "fuck you." I'm 65 years old. Last thing I need to do is be fighting, but I got to be honest with you. I don't fight fair either, and there's more to it than fighting. You know, if I was to find out somebody who was doing that to me, I could either hand the shit off to Tizzy or myself. I could probably
Mhm.
destroy their lives. And I'd be more than willing to do it. And I'd be more than willing to risk going to jail for it because I'm 65. How much time do I got? You know?
I mean, this it is it scary to watch that? Yeah, because I can't imagine. No, I can imagine those people surrounded by these guys who are determined because they've been given carte blanche to feed their racism. That's all it is. They're not picking any criminals or anything. Don't give me this bullshit about what they're illegal and the criminal. No, they're not. Okay, no, they're not. We know that. When you guys bought into this bullshit is because they were going to go after the hardened criminals. No,
Right.
I don't think raiding a fucking car wash to take the guys who are just driving your car is a threat to American security. The last time I checked,
They have to
and yes,
understand why
that did
they are
happen.
doing why they're doing what they're doing. They're going after, like you've said before, the soft targets, the kids, the women, the guys working in a fucking restaurant. They're doing this because their deportation plans of deporting millions has been a horrible failure. They aren't even deporting as many people as Barack Obama was, and Barack Obama was doing it properly. These
Yeah,
guys are just incompetent and they make these big claims, but they can't follow through with it because they're not smart enough.
and take two, they're running out of money.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the CBO got a lot of heat because they came up with like the books. First of all, they said the bill that's still sitting in Congress that hasn't been looked at, it's not going to add $4 trillion to the debt. It's going to add $10 trillion to the debt.
Uh,
Republicans are fucking flipping out, going, "That's all Democrats." CBOs to know the CBOs are nonpartisan, and the guy's running as a Republican. They just do the math,
Now
guys.
they're
Even with
saying,
all your
well, we don't
money,
trust
yeah.
CBO. We don't trust CBO. Now they don't trust CBO.
They know you don't trust the CBO, right? No, they did the math, and that bill. I'm going to be honest. I think that bill is on its basically on life support at this point.
Oh,
You know,
it's not going to pass. They got to do it by July 4th, right?
yeah, and it's not good. And that comes back to the other thing. They're probably going to have to do a stopgap. Watch that. That's going to be fun. Let's see how that goes. And by the way, that's 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
2 weeks, and they just they thought all of that what Trump was doing was going to distract. Going in Los Angeles at first was a distraction. All right. What they didn't count on was how Los Angeles reacted to it. Los Angeles reacted to it in a way that Trump didn't expect. ICE didn't expect.
Right.
That's why, hence the National Guard and the Marines. And oh, quick side note, Mayor Bass, you better start talking to the chief of police because your LAPD has gone back to the old days of Rodney King. What they're doing, they already have one lawsuit filed by reporters for getting shot or abused by officers.
Right.
If you don't want the city to go broke from fucking excessive abuse lawsuits, get them under fucking control because you can't go to court and say we didn't do this. They were attacking us. Yeah, really? Here's the video. How much do you think we need now? You're going to get your ass sued into bankruptcy. The
Yeah.
chief of police has lost control of his rank and file of LAPD. Same thing with the sheriff's department. You guys are not keeping the peace. You're escalating the violence because you want to make sure everyone knows you're tougher than whoever.
Ice
Stop
or
it.
whatever.
She needs to. She's not addressing it, but we're watching it every night in the streets when they're asking to disperse, and when people are backing off, you're attacking people. We
Yeah.
see it. Stop
The
lying to us.
Los Angeles police don't have the greatest reputation or the greatest history
Fuck
either,
no.
like Rodney King and some of the other things. We had that court
Watch
case
Soup
where
Street
the
riot.
judge basically savaged Donald Trump about bringing the National Guard in, and he said, "Not pull them out right away, pull them out right away." Then, of course, Donald Trump um, appealed it, and there's a pause on the original order of shutting it down. So we still have National Guard there. They're still not doing anything. But if it goes to the next court and they tell them to shut it down, then they'd have to take it to the Supreme Court. I think by the time it goes through that process, Donald Trump and the National Guard are going to be looking pretty silly because
Yeah,
everything changes so quickly. We'll have issues in other parts of the country, and they'll be standing there with their thumbs in their ass.
I mean, it's time for like New York and if I was J.B. Pritzker or Kathy Hochul, I would call the National Guard up now under
That's
your
what I would
control
do.
and let them the same thing like in Minnesota, um, under your control. And that way, if ICE shows up and starts calling, you can go no. You can direct them under you and say no. Do not let them abuse. If there's no warrant, see, I don't see why that's a problem. If there's no warrant and these guys are trying to take people in unmarked cars without badges or ID, to me, that's kidnapping. That's fucking secret
Kidnapping.
police shit. All right.
Absolutely.
And and the thing about it is it's time for someone to make a stand like that. You see what's going on in California because eventually it's going to blow up. Eventually, a violent act's going to happen, and then everything's going to roll up. And Trump saying going after, and they're just downright just fuck it. Democratic cities and Democrats and all over. It's just saying that the president of the United States if, is your president if you love him. If you don't love him, you're his enemy. And
Right.
the worst thing was that edict that came for the VA doctors. Yeah, if you don't like their politics or Democrats or they're single, you don't have to. You don't have to give them service. What the fuck is that?
Yeah.
What is
Does
that?
that
I
mean
mean, that's
does that mean
yeah,
if we don't like their strategies, we don't have to pay our taxes? I'm not paying
yeah.
for something I don't get.
I mean, this is it. These are men who earn their veterans benefits, but these guys they're twisted. Everything's so twisted because you've got a man in power who has this incessant need to be loved and be shown as the number one. And to prove it, after he went through that weekend, he went to Canada for the G7.
Well, before we
Oh
go
my!
to the Canada,
Yeah,
before we go to
yeah.
Canada, I want to suggest something else he did before he went to Canada
Oh,
in
okay.
response to the protest and that shitty parade. You notice what happened? The No Kings protest got under his skin. There's no question about it.
Oh
The,
yes.
the parade and the shitty showing and all that irritated him to no end. We know he's yelling at Pete Hegseth and bitching about the troops. But what's the first thing he did right after that? He's a malignant narcissist. So when somebody crushes his ego or hurts him or marginalizes him some way, he's got to hit back. He's got to
Hmm.
hit back. And how did he hit back? That's when he came out and said, well, we're just going to go harder with ICE in all the blue
Right.
states, in the blue cities. And that's when he said, well, we weren't going to go after farmers and hotels, but now we are because either Stephen Smith or Donald Trump is just throwing a fucking toddler tantrum. So
Right.
that's what he did to push back. Now it's going to be interesting. Donald Trump says a lot of things. He makes a lot of promises. Very rarely comes through. So it's going to be interesting to see if he mounts that kind of push in these cities because two problems he's got. ICE doesn't have that many people, can't hit 3 or 4 cities at a time. And at the end of June, they're out of money.
Yeah, money.
They're out of fucking money. They're like $1 billion over anyway. So where are you going to get the money to continue to do this?
And people speculated that it's going to take it from the Pentagon budget, which brings us to what happened in Canada. Um, is that, and you saw it and I saw it. He's not a welcome man among those men. Okay. Um, they hate him.
Well, when he went up
And
to when he went up to G7, I think he got a whole different experience than he's ever gotten before. You
yes,
know, when he was the first time around as president, he'd come in, they know he was a dipshit, but he's the president of the United States. We got to defer to him. But after all the shit he said, nobody trusts him, nobody likes him. And when he went to Canada, it was kind of like Carney was saying, "No, bitch, this is my show. You do what I
yeah,
tell you." And then
my
when they were
house.
sitting around the table, everybody's asking him hard questions. And you know how he feels about hard questions. He was fucking angry when he was doing this because nobody was bowing and scraping to him. They were pushing him, and he doesn't like to be pushed.
Yeah. And then he goes off with, I mean, the reason that they cut off the press conference, he started talking about Putin and all this other, and then he started talking about shit happening here. And Carney goes, "No, we're done. We're not talk
Had
your
nothing
shit
to do
here.
with what we're talking.
This is
He
not your
took,
press conference. This is my house.
yeah,
Shut up."
exactly. And he's talking about stuff that has nothing to do with why they're there.
Right.
And then of course, he's supposed to be there a couple of days. He was supposed to speak with Zelensky and the president of Mexico today. He said, "I'm leaving," got on a plane, took his dirty diapers and his petticoat and got the fuck out of Dodge, you know?
I mean,
And
and
he
he
was
went
pouting.
right. Oh God, yes. Because he left. Basically, and I did a video. Basically, he's the type. He's that guy you finally go, "Get the fuck." No, dude, we're tired of you. Go. We just don't need. He's the guy who shows up and go, "Oh Jesus Christ, just sit over." Okay, fine, just leave. I can't deal with you. So he left, and he said, basically, he was like, "Well, I got more important things to do," and he calls the National Security Council. Why? Because now, to prove that he's the baddest man in the world, he wants to go to war with Iran.
Well, again,
What
that's
the
what he was
fuck?
doing. He was mad at these people. So like in the first time where he said, "I'm going to go into all the blue cities," same thing here. He's sitting down, talk to him. Nobody's taking him seriously because he's a buffoon. He can't stay on point. He can't talk about the things he's supposed to talk about. He certainly can't fucking listen. And when he felt these people going, "Fuck you, Donnie, you're a piece of shit," there's no more political politeness anymore. They know who he is. They don't like him, and they're treating him as such. So when he stomped out of there like a little fucking girl, um, he stomps out of there, and as soon as he gets on the plane, he says something to Tehran, "You better get out of there," suggesting that we're going to bomb them and all that kind of shit. And that's what Donald Trump was doing. He was going to those people, those in the G7, the six that were still there, saying, "Fuck you, motherfuckers! I'll show you how bad I am. I'm going to bomb Iran," and then have them all freaking out and say, "Oh, poor Donnie's getting mad, so we better back down and welcome him back." It's just all
Well,
childish bullshit.
and the thing about it's like, it, I okay, President Macron basically just filleted him. If you want any person of any nationality to give you the worst tongue lashing or disdain or disgust, is the French. My God, he laid him out, and that's what he was all upset about. Macron said, "Motherfucker, he owned you. He owned you." And by the way, I'm going to say this as blunt as you can. If you guys don't like it, Melania wants to fuck him. It's true. I mean, that's a good looking man. I mean, we're not talking Gavin Newsom look, but
No,
you know, no, let's
no,
be. I mean,
it's well. Did you notice there was some video too of Macron talking to the prime minister of Italy or the president of Italy, this woman, and
yeah,
she's leaning over like this, and she's going, "I don't know what they were talking about, but you know it was Donald Trump because that's the only thing people could be
And
amazed and disgusted by at the same time.
and understand that the Prime Minister of Italy, that woman, is a far righter,
Yeah,
very conservative, and they don't like Trump. They
right.
consider Trump they they consider themselves a true conservative movement, and Trump not part of it. Um,
Absolutely.
and it's but the point is now we're sitting here this afternoon, and reports are they've moved military equipment and aircraft near the Middle East. They've told people to leave. Trump is saying that we now own the airspace, which what? Are you saying that we're now running no fly zone over Iran? Um, look,
He also told us that the National Guard was in LA when they weren't in there. So
yes,
you got to take whatever he says with a grain of
yeah.
fucking salt.
The thing about it though is he this is his fault.
Yeah,
This is all his fault because he couldn't deal with a deal that already been sent, and intelligence is already saying because you're of the restrictions that Obama had done with the deal, they're still maybe 3 years out, probably longer from a weapon.
yeah,
And the the Israelis basically Benjamin Netanyahu basically baited him into this bullshit because
not
Netanyahu needs
hard.
to go to war. Benjamin Netanyahu is a bigger threat to this world because when he started his thing, you know where he went when the bombs started falling in Tel Aviv? He was in
I can
fucking
imagine.
Greece.
Yeah.
Okay, what the fuck? The point being is this guy helped. He knew he can use Trump to get him what he wants. He wants to eliminate all Iran's nuclear structure. They did that in the late 80s when they bombed their first nuclear facility. But they just really he wants all out war because that helps him too.
Well,
It
yeah,
helps him too.
and Benjamin Netanyahu doesn't want peacetime. He's even said he doesn't want a ceasefire with Iran. He needs to keep a war going so he doesn't go to fucking jail.
Yeah. And here we are. So now Trump, I mean, all these things, and you know MAGA is going to come up with excuses. I mean, what's about to happen? I mean, you tell them you should have signed the agreement. What the
They
fuck are you
did.
telling them? That's fucking mob stuff. Either your signature goes on the paper or your brains. Is that what you're telling them? It's the same shit. That's
Yeah.
some Godfather bullshit. I mean, come on. And so far, and what was the call? What did they say? And one of the things these assholes latched onto, especially the far left, yeah, well, Trump will keep us out of war. There'll be no World War III under Trump. He'll be the peace president. I'm waiting.
Yeah.
I'm waiting
Yeah.
for the peace.
I said that in a TikTok. You know, he told you, MAGA, that he was going to be the peace president, no more new wars, and we're going to focus on us. And this is starting to get MAGA mad. He's going over and get involved in Israel and the Iran thing. They don't like that. They want to be the isolationists. They want to focus on us
Right,
here, and he can't do that. Like you said, Benjamin Netanyahu basically baited him, and that's the
right,
problem we have. Everybody, every leader in this world knows how to play Donald Trump, and they
right.
continually do it.
And he's I I don't know what he's going to do because even when Tulsi Gabbard is saying no, there's no evidence that they have a nuclear weapon. Trump has basically said no, I don't. They have one. He has gone Dick Cheney on us.
Well,
Weapons of mass destruction.
yeah, he literally said when somebody asked him about Tulsi Gabbard uh, being interviewed and asking if they have nuclear weapons, and she said no. Donald Trump said of his own uh, intelligence person for the country, he says, "I don't care what she says. I don't care what she says." That's what he said. And so, yeah, you're absolutely right. This is starting to smell a lot like WMDs in Iraq.
Right. It's exactly the same. I mean, that's how Cheney justified that to Bush. That's how you ended up with his what was it, Blackwater or whatever the security force that he
Yeah.
owned
Yeah.
ended up getting a contract in Iraq. We all know this. We've been down this road. We've heard it before. MAGA won't, because I know MAGA is basically saying, yeah, we're going to get them towel heads. I know how you fucking think and how you speak. Okay. It's fine from your fat ass on the couch watching people die as long as it's not you.
Right.
God. And it's the ignorance that we're dealing with. And also this man's I mean, how do you guys I mean Republicans obviously have no tail, have no spine. They're also
Mhm.
corrupt. But how do you not see what's going on? This guy has lost it. I mean, there's a great video of Jake Tapper and C-SPAN still trying to promote his book months later. And this
Yeah.
lady, did you see that one? This lady laid him out on the thing.
Yeah.
He just said, "Why don't you investigate Trump?" Well, she laid him out because she's right. Look, he goes, Biden was attending meetings. He was doing what he had to do as president. Even if you're so-called decline, what is Trump doing? Why are you asking questions about Trump? He doesn't go to security. How does he know anything about security and what's going on if he doesn't attend security briefings?
Yeah. Exactly.
That Tulsi,
Exactly.
and now I'm beginning to understand Tulsi Gabbard. It wasn't an attempt to cater to Fox News. She wanted him to know what's going on. She really did, which tells me she wanted to do her job, but I need the president on board. So can you guys help me? We can put it in a video so we can understand what we're trying to say to him. I kind of get it now. From
Yeah.
her saying that we don't have nuclear weapons, he's saying I don't, ignore her. She's trying to get to this guy, trying to get through this mush that he's there because for some reason Tulsi Gabbard must be taking her job seriously. For
Yeah.
once, that's a
Or at
scary
least,
thought.
well, she's either taking her job seriously or she realizes if she doesn't try here and just does what Donald Trump says, she's going to pay when Donald Trump is either dead or gone because it's going to come back to haunt her. She doesn't have any immunity. Donald Trump, that's the one thing about Donald Trump. He says, we might bomb him. And then he says, this is the ultimate of bullying. And it's just a ploy. He says, Trump says the U.S. knows where the Iran's leader, Khomeini, is. And we don't want to kill him yet, but it would be easy to do. I mean, that's it's like the mob guy saying, well, I'd hate to have anything happen to your kids.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he's doing. And here's the thing. I was talking to Trucker T yesterday. I said, it's one thing if he's crazy enough to do the shit he says, but what if he does what he always does and backs off? Then that means anything the president of the United States says doesn't mean shit because he never follows through. He always chickens out. And that's part of the thing, too. I'm thinking this is just a ploy because he does it all the time, try to scare somebody, try to bully somebody. But I'm afraid you're not going to bully Iran. You're just not.
No.
They got bigger
It,
issues to worry about.
I mean, here's the thing: the Iranians have been fucking around a little bit and finding out. Okay,
Yeah.
under the Biden administration, they fucked around a little bit with the Houthis and they injured American soldiers, and we reacted properly. The Iranians were afraid of Joe Biden. They
Yeah.
didn't want to fuck with Joe Biden because they know he has told them this is what we're doing now. Please don't make us do more because he does it quietly and he shows them. When they went after Israel, we under Joe Biden's military, under that defense Department of Defense, no missiles got through that. Why? Because from the Red Sea, we took them out with our cruisers.
Right.
Okay, we sent a message to them under the Biden administration. Really, calm your ass down. We do not want this. Let's talk. See, that's how you do this. Okay. Trump doesn't know how to negotiate. He's a
No, he
fucking
has no
loser.
clue.
He's a loser because to him, a negotiation is to do what I want.
Yeah.
And people aren't going to do that. They're tired of it. And that's the thing. When you saw the G7 was a bunch of world leaders going, we're tired of this. We have things to handle. We know what's going on. We got time for your childish bullshit. And here in America, we're dealing with it. I'm getting the impression, though, with a lot of the leaders, they're separating the American people from Trump.
Yeah.
They understand, and which brings me back to a one pet peeve I want to bring up real quick. When we're talking about everything that's going on in ICE, LA, just before the No Kings protest, I mean, I got one of those comments where, well, you all voted for this. I got one of those 60% Latinos voted for Trump. Okay. I got
Yeah.
some of that bullshit. And I'm going to make this clear. Yeah, they did. They got fucking conned. And Cubans are leaving now. They're being deported. They're finding out what happened. They got conned. Okay. If you come to me about that bullshit, you're useless to us because that was the past. I'm not talking about the past anymore. I had someone bring up Bernie Sanders in 2016 in a video. Stop it. Okay, that's the past. Politics as before is dead. It is right and it is wrong.
Right.
There's no gray anymore, guys. Stop it. And if you're going to bring this shit up, get out of the way because you may bring that to me and a lot of people, okay? And you may think that No King's protest was bullshit. That's because you're weak in your mind and heart because you really kind of like what's going on. Chaos makes you happy.
Yeah.
So let me make this clear. Get the fuck out of our way because the rest of us are going to unfuck this. And we're beginning to find a way because their own incompetence is giving us opportunities to do it. They
Right.
cannot continue with this. They can't. Yes, right now people are suffering in detentions, pickup, families separated, but it's going to end. And when it's ending, all those people on the wrong side of that, you're going to pay a price.
Well, don't you think? I've said this before, but I really believe this now. Uh, Again, this time is that with that No Kings protest and the parade happening the same day, and what it did to take the wind out of the sails of or Republicans and Donald Trump, for that matter, too. He was obviously surprised by that and didn't feel good about it. I feel this is a turning point. We know inevitably there's going to be a spiral and a crash. I thought it would happen long before now, but it hasn't. But it feels like we're headed that way now
Oh, yeah.
because there's really no way out for Donald Trump. These things are all going to fail. He's going to make a mess in Iran, regardless of what he does. Russia and Ukraine will continue to fight. He's got every country in the world that thinks he's a fucking buffoon. Nothing is
Mm-hmm.
going his way right now. And this is the time, honestly, when malignant narcissists are the most dangerous, when they feel like they
Yeah.
have no way out. They strike out in many different ways, and that's my biggest concern. How
Yeah.
crazy can he get?
That's a scary thought, especially when you have a party that's cooperating with them and a court that may cooperate with them. And I mean, to the point that, but the warning came out. The protest warning came out. If it comes push comes to shove, people are going to fight
Yeah.
because they're tired of it. Because let me put in another thing we forgot because it got lost in all this. Economic news is not good. Sales are
No.
down. Retail sales are down. GDP is down. People aren't doing anything. They're not buying anything. Tourism is dead. There's no one coming to Vegas. There's no one coming anywhere. My family's going to a trip to Disney World this week. It was cheap.
I'll bet.
They were able to get down there. Now I don't like them going to Florida, but my wife is white, so I'm hoping her white woman privilege will help.
Yeah.
But the point being is, um, it's the economy is being effective. It's starting little by it's increments, and then as she keeps doing all this, this compounds it. Do you think the Israelis bombing oil facilities and gas facilities of the Iranians is not going to affect the oil prices?
Absolutely, it will.
Come on. I mean, and the thing about it is they don't think they are into this, into their hardcore believes that Christian nationalism is going to be the way to save this country. It's not. It's not
No,
going to
it's
work.
definitely not.
And part of the problem too is that companies and people have to be stopped being afraid of Donald Trump. They
They do.
keep fearing Trump can do to them. And here's a prime example in Los Angeles, my hometown. Okay. The Los Angeles Dodgers are the biggest sports team in Los Angeles. They are it. But when they moved to Los Angeles, remember, in order to build Dodger Stadium, Sam Yorty, the mayor at the time, and Walter O'Malley was looking for land and he saw Chavez Ravine. Chavez Ravine was a community of Hispanics and Mexicans who lived there overlooking the city, mostly
Right.
small houses, some shanties, but it was a thriving community. And they conspired eminent domain and they literally went in and dragged out all those people in their homes and that land and gave it to Walter O'Malley. And Dodger Stadium sits on that. It was
Right.
built there on that. At that point, Latinos and Hispanics never went to Dodger games. They hated the Dodgers. They hated the Dodgers because the Dodgers did have an attendance problem, believe it or not. They won championships, but they had an attendance problem. They used to have something called Business Day Special, games in the middle of Tuesday for 1 o'clock. Why? Because they were trying to get someone to come to the building,
Right.
especially white businessmen. And it changed when finally they decided to go to Mexico and find some kid named Fernando Valenzuela. And that changed it all. And people bought in. So right now, in the area around Dodger Stadium, it's pretty much the heart of this bullshit that's going on. And
Right.
the Dodgers have been very quiet. Management's been really quiet. They are run by the Guggenheim Company, which is a huge finance company. They went to a lot of players didn't want to go to see Trump at the White House for their championship. They told me how to go. Fine, they did it. But now the Dodgers seem to trying to ignore what's right in front of them in the city that they play in. And there is a Dominican singer named Neza who was there to sing the national anthem in Spanish to basically, it's an authorized version of the national anthem that can be sung in Spanish. I've heard it. It's really pretty. But it celebrates America in Spanish. Nothing to do about celebrating Mexico or any other country. Celebrating America because we are part of America and that's one of the languages. Fuck you if you say English is the only language in the U.S. It doesn't work like that. At the last minute, the Dodgers told her to sing in English. And anyone tells her she had a contract, go fuck yourself. The original assignment is for her to go ahead and sing in Spanish to honor Latinos. But someone in the management was afraid of Donald Trump and ICE. And so she was told not to, and she did it anyway.
Yeah.
And then she
And I'm
got a
proud of her.
phone call. Yeah, she got a phone call from Dodger management or someone to her manager and said, "We're not your band. We don't want to hear anything from one of your other people. You turn, all that." And she sold them out. I am a Dodger fan for 50 years. That will not change. I will follow the team. But Dodger management, because people keep saying, well, why did she make it political? No, she didn't make it political. The Dodgers made it political. As soon as you tell a person not to do something because you're afraid of a political reaction, you made it political. There was a fan who came in who was a white man who came in with a scarf, a serape, with Mexican symbol on it in support of his brethren in LA. He was trying to come in. They told him to take it off his band. He
Wow.
goes, why is it banned? It's just a serape. Look. He goes, yeah, we don't like it. You need the colors of the two teams. You're doing this, you make it political. All you have to do is either say nothing and let it roll, or say we support our Latino community in Los Angeles because they're a big part of us. But you don't do it because for some reason you're afraid of Donald Trump and MAGA. And what I'm finding out though, in comments that I've made on videos about that, 60% of Dodger fans are fucking racist. I'm finding that out really quickly. So, and I'm not going to, and I will stand by it. All your comments are bullshit. All your excuses is bullshit because without the Latinos supporting that team, good fucking luck. That's why they draw 3 million.
Uh,
Sorry, it's the truth. And until you address what's right in front of you, because you already made it political, and that's part of the thing. The news site, the news reporters made it political by giving in to Trump. Terry Moran, good example. All you have to say, we stand by our reporters reporting. He didn't do anything. He told the truth. Same thing with every one of these fucking mass media. They are so afraid of Trump doing what to you?
the
Well,
thing
doing
about it
what? He
is,
can't even piss on by himself without a catheter.
yeah. Well, we talked about this to do too, that there's got to be a point where everybody goes, enough. We're not doing it anymore. What it's going to take is Donald Trump to lose credibility with his base, which isn't that big. I don't understand why they're so afraid of that base. But that day is coming because Donald Trump, since he's been president, he's done nothing but fuck up. Everything he's done has not worked. Try to put the tariffs on. That hasn't worked. Deportations. That's not working. He has to take it to a whole different level where it's violent in order to still deport fewer people than Obama. There's going to come a point where people are going, this guy's a fucking joke. I mean, we knew this 8 years ago that he was a joke,
Right.
but 8 years later, you would presume at some point they're going to go, holy fuck, this guy's going down in flames and we're going to go with him if we don't step back.
Yeah, it's they've been conned. A lot of
Yeah.
people are still, and you can't get around hardcore MAGA because they're in for the hate. They're
Yeah.
in for that. No, nothing Trump can do will change it. Um, my only concern right now is that he's getting to a point. He may do something like, you know what? Fuck it. Where's the nuclear codes? I want to take care of Tehran in one shot. Oh, Will,
Yeah.
that's insane. Really? Is it? Honestly? I mean, the man's crazy enough. He's desperate enough. I mean, if I
But
can't have it, no one else can.
when we come to the nuclear codes and stuff like that, there's really a process. He's not the last finger on the button. There are people who can shut it down after him. And
I
if he
would
just
hope.
goes crazy and wants to do this suicidal thing because he thinks better, there'll be somebody that stops him. I got to wonder if there isn't something like that going on now with this Iran thing. I watched one guy on TikTok. He was talking about, is it a good thing or is it a bad thing if Donald Trump bombs them? And and for the life of me, they said, well, if they have nuclear weapons, it's a good thing because we got. I don't see how it's a good thing where
That's a good
America
thing.
involves itself in somebody else's war and bombs the piss out of a country unprovoked. I don't see where the positive in that is.
I mean, they're going to say they provoked him because they didn't sign the deal. They had a deal. He broke the deal. See, all these problems that are being created, he created them. Economic problems, he created. Social problems
Yeah.
with ICE and all that, he created it. Social unrest, he created it. Within the military, he created that because he has this unbelievable. I don't understand how someone like him thinks it's okay for everything to be about him. I don't get it.
Well,
I
he's
mean,
mentally
everyone's
ill.
selfish
There's
at
no
times.
question.
That's the thing. He, you listen to him talk and everything. He's direct of any kind of humanity. His remarks about Tim Walz and the people who, the four people who were shot, assassinated, literally, you know, stalked and murdered,
Right.
is heinous. But people are agreeing with it and jumping around trying to make it sound good, make it sound like Democrats killed themselves. And I just don't. How much long? You can't do this for long. You cannot rule by fear because people get enough. People say fuck it because they get to the point. I have nothing to lose.
Right.
When they get there, then you can't stop them. I mean,
Exactly.
I mean, how much more? It's getting. I'm watching people on the streets pushing against ICE. They're not using weapons; they're just using themselves. But it's going to get to the point where someone's going to do something to defend their family and themselves. Then
Well,
what?
we have the Second Amendment, open carry laws, and we have the stand your ground laws. Somebody's going to use that because if I'm sitting in my house and some guy with a mask comes in and wants to take my family, theoretically, because of the Second Amendment and because of stand your ground laws, I should be able to shoot that motherfucker in my house.
And they have no legal standing. And that's the
No,
thing. We talked about originally that they want to get rid of due process. Ladies and gentlemen, they already have an habeas corpus. They just say that, if you get detained by ICE, you just lose all your rights. When is that? Where is that in the Constitution? I mean,
yeah,
these
exactly.
guys, the guys have twisted everything to make it fit, but it's not fitting anymore. I mean, we sit here and we just watch it and go, how much more you cannot put this there? If you ever work in a factory, you know about boilers, right?
Right,
Things, boilers that, steam producing that. There's a pressure valve on a boiler, okay?
right.
And I remember when I worked in a brewery, there was something wrong with one of those boilers. We're looking at the numbers, and we finally got the maintenance people out there. And we're looking at it, and he goes, "Oh shit, shut this down." Why? Because the pressure valve had failed. It was bad. If we had not stopped it within 10, 15 minutes, that thing would have ruptured and it would have been bad.
That would have been an
Um, it,
explosion.
yeah, it would have been bad. And then once you released the pressure, man, that thing ran once you got the pressure out of it. The point is, the United States is getting there. And the pressure valve is a bunch of MAGA Republicans lying on top of it, trying to keep it controlled. Well, it's going to blow up. Americans,
Inevitably,
never. What do we? I mean, I've watched 2 million people go to the streets in red states.
yeah.
That's a message that they're ignoring by trying to by deporting more people. But again, I ask the question: who's going to do those jobs?
Wouldn't you think that people on the Republican side that supposedly have a reasonable mind, wouldn't you think that they are seeing the signs here that we are a pressure cooker here? Donald Trump keeps failing. He says crazy things. He does crazy things. What's it going to take for relatively normal Republicans to say, "Oh Jesus, I can't keep doing this"? I think some are, but certainly not enough yet.
I don't know if there's such thing as a normal Republican.
True.
I'm going to I'm going to ask you a question because I asked this question in the video and no one's answered to me. What happened in Minnesota was political violence,
No
horrible
question.
political violence, and the man who did it, to an extent, is kind of a hero with MAGA. Let's be honest, we know
Yeah.
that. Okay, so I started thinking about political violence in the past, and I thought of one of the outside of 9/11, one of the worst days in America was the Oklahoma City bombing with Timothy McVeigh.
Hmm.
And the images roll through your mind. The firemen taking out the
Yeah.
bodies of children, all that. And the reason he did it because the FBI office was in the Oklahoma City Federal Building, and he was doing that to avenge what happened in Waco to the Branch
Right.
Davidian cult. You know,
Right.
that's why he did it. And everyone chased him down. They got him. And very few people called him a hero. They couldn't wait for him to go to jail. In
Right.
fact, he got his life. The guy who helped him got life. There was no there was no things talking about he did the right thing. If there was, they were in the very fringe. Question I have for everyone who's watching this: if Timothy McVeigh did that today, how many people will call him a hero? How many
Probably very
Republicans
few.
will come out of their way to support him? How many people will try to get him off or get him pardoned? Even with the horrific same sites. of a fireman taking a child's body out of there. How
You know,
many mags ever do that?
some people
That's
were
a,
trying to say this guy in Minnesota wasn't political or not a terrorist, and they're trying to figure out motive. I can tell you what the fucking motive is right now. He's a
mhm.
religious right fucking freak. He's got some mental issues. He's a rabid anti-abortionist. He's rabid about it, and we've seen these people shoot people outside of abortion
Right.
clinics and stuff like that. This guy is a rabid abortion anti-abortion fanatic, and all of these people he was going to shoot or did shoot somehow had some connection into pro-choice laws or wanting pro-choice laws. That's what this was about. I'm convinced of that because these are the kind of people that will go to this extent. He wanted to
And
be a hero. He thought this would go on for a long time. What do you have, like 60 people on his list? And he was just
yeah,
going to go around and round and just shoot people and just move on down the road.
his wife's part of it, right? Didn't they arrest her too? I think
They
she's part
arrested
of the
her too,
conspiracy.
and they found her in a car with a gun or guns, a bunch of money, and passports. That's a red flag in my mind.
And I'm understanding that Minnesota police or whatever your investigation unit is in Minnesota is looking at this as a possible conspiracy and looking for other people involved in this.
Oh yeah, I
Oh
would
my
bet there
God.
is.
And it just, but I want to, because someone brought up a point, and I want to know because you're ground zero, unfortunately, with that. Um, there's no one from the Minnesota Republican Party condemning this. I have to admit.
No,
Now, one side from the Minnesota Republican Party, correct?
I haven't
They haven't
heard
said a
anybody do
goddamn
that.
thing about it. I mean, they're waiting for the to start thinking about how they're going to take those seats. That seat.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, I mean, they haven't said. How can you not, as a human being, react to that? How can you not? That's the thing with Republicans. In is that the problem with Republicans is that they're hoping it'll pass. They think you ask the question, why haven't they reacted? Because they're waiting for Trump to to come out on top because he already comes out on top. He always figures a way out of his bullshit where he comes out a winner. And we'll have to admit, kind of true. I never seen anyone so much motherfucking luck in my life. I
yeah,
mean, from his health to his political, he just ends up on top, and it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense from all the years of political, all the politics we have followed. Everything he does would have been the end for you as a politician. It has boiled him up, even violence.
yeah.
So when, I mean, the problem is that they're waiting for him to win. The problem is when he spectacularly fails, he may take us all with him, and they won't have a chance to react because that's the only thing that
Yeah.
makes sense. They're waiting for him. It's going to be okay. He will come out on top, and we will too because we're going to hang on to it.
You know, I think we need to give credit where credit is due. Law enforcement takes a lot of heat,
Mm-hmm.
but when the police went to the original shooting
Mm-hmm.
with the two dead people, Hortman, um, they found the list, and some detective was smart enough to look at who was the next on the list or the closest on the list, and they made a beeline for that place, and that's how they caught up with them initially, and that's how they kind of thwarted that murder. So the police department was, and it might have been the state patrol, but they looked at it and they said something's fucked up here, and they went there right away, and that was part of the reason why this whole thing has stopped because it was planned out pretty meticulously, and that would suggest a conspiracy. We'll wait and see if that's true, but he could have gone for days doing this and not get caught if not for the awareness
I mean,
of one detective.
I mean, police normally in those situations, police are competent because that's their job. I mean, especially something this heinous, they're going to do the right thing because the only right thing is to find this guy before he kills other people. The problem is that outside of that, it's been politicized as an okay thing because there's only dead Democrats. I
Right.
don't get that. And Republicans are still hanging. I mean, the hardest thing for watching is I knew come Monday that this was going to be, that he was going to go out of his mind. And he has.
Yeah.
What I didn't expect him to do is start World War III to protect his ass or his ego. I don't know if he will, because what are you going to do if you bomb Tehran into rubble? What is
Yeah.
that going to accomplish? It's not going to
But
accomplish anything.
well, see, Donald Trump really needs some kind of mess, some kind of chaos. And he's been trying to do that with these ICE things and trying to whip things up in Los Angeles and God knows where else, and that's just not working. So maybe he's looking at this Iran thing to create more turmoil and put him in a position where
Right.
he thinks he's tougher or has
And
more control. I don't know, but my gut tells me he's not going to do it because he talks a lot
no,
of shit and he never follows through. But he is dumb enough to do it. That's what's troubling.
yeah, and one thing's like on the local, on the state, on the country level, New York City's having a mayoral race right now
Right.
to replace
Right.
that piece of shit in the mayor's seat right now. He is. He's a crook. He's a criminal that would have gone to jail if Donald Trump had not become president and
Right.
changed the DOJ. They were going to put him in jail.
Right.
He's a thief. We know this. But do you know who's running for mayor of New York right now? One of the people that's running, Andrew fucking
Cuomo.
Cuomo.
Yeah, he's just as bad as
And
the fucker they got.
yeah, and he's like, and what happened today with the comptroller being arrested, who is running for mayor, his one of his opponents, who is an Indian guy, and I just drew a blank on his name, was right on top of going, "This is wrong. We need to address this right away. I mean, this is not the way it should be. I respect the man. I mean, he went total leader on him, right?" And one New Yorker did a video going, "Hey, you saw that? Let me ask you a question. Where's Andrew Cuomo?
Yeah.
How come he's not spoken on it?" Because he agrees with him. And he goes, "Is that leadership?" And I think that's the question you have to ask. It's in the end, it's all on us. Who we elect is what we get right now. Because once they're in that power seat, they don't care because they only care now is about the power. Politicians have changed from serving their constituency to what can I get for myself now that these dumbasses have put me in power. That's the problem. And I'm and gonna go to Democrats too. It's time to start thinking when we elect someone, are they really going to do for us what they're supposed to do? Because that's what a constitutional um, representative government is designed for. Um, the only two people I've seen do that for me have been in Georgia, have been my two senators because they are working for Georgia and the country.
Right.
And I'm beginning to think Gavin Newsom just found out when you fuck around with the far right, they bite you. And I
Right.
hope that changed his fucking tune because he's looking presidential, but when the pressure's off, what happens? I want to see what happens. Tim Walz is looking presidential. He's fighting a lot of things, including an idiot who has a personal vendetta against him.
Well,
The
if you
point
fight
being is,
again, if you fight against the Republicans and you go after them hard, you will be thought as a prospect for the presidential race. I'm sorry, you
and
can't be a fucking politician and do all the normal things. You got to be a warrior and you got to be going after these
he's got,
motherfuckers in order to
and
be
it's
taken
not just,
seriously.
and it's not just on on the national level. It has to be at the school board level,
Yeah.
the state assembly, the state senate. It has to be in your house in races. These local races make a difference. Why is Missouri and Texas all fucked up? Because you put in a super majority of Republicans who don't want to legislate, they want to control you. And you can see that with the legislation they keep trying to to put in. See what's going on in Florida. These when in Alabama, when you put these people in charge, whose only thing is not to govern, but to place their beliefs on top of you and benefit from it, that's what you get. Like Mississippi, those states, Arkansas, they're those Republicans don't care. And you look in Congress, those Republicans in Congress from these districts are just there to support Trump. They don't give a fuck about their constituents because they don't have to. You want the biggest example? Marjorie Taylor Greene. That is a worthless bag of bones, literally.
Yeah.
And go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I got a news story that just came across,
Oh,
and
Gertie.
we talk about a lot of negative shit,
Mm-hmm.
and this is a happy news story. At the risk of becoming the Democratic Mike Lee, um, Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem has been rushed to a Washington D.C. hospital in an ambulance. Let's hope it's ass cancer. People are going to say, that's terrible, Mike. You
Karma,
shouldn't speak ill of somebody.
no,
Fuck her. She needs to go
fuck her.
down.
Karma is a fucking wheel. And I'll say
Yeah.
why. When they raided a house in Los Angeles when she was here, when Alex Padilla was arrested and abused,
Mm-hmm.
a house in Hawthorne, California, her outside, a house of a woman and 4 kids looking for a man. They broke in the house and she's there watching in her fucking cosplay. So,
Yeah.
bitch, karma is a wheel. Yeah, Will, how do you feel like that? That's horrible. No, okay, no. Karma gives you what you get. If I got hit by a car, God forbid, and something happened to me, people would be upset and say, hey, that's too bad. Her getting hit or something happened to her, people go, wow, gee, I hope there wasn't anything terrible. Oh, yeah, I have cream of my coffee, please.
Yeah,
That's what's going
exactly.
to happen. And the same thing, that's the thing. You can't, I can't give, there's nothing to give. You deserve what you got. And what the hell is it for? What
Well,
happened? Was she out
in,
cosplaying and got a bullet?
inevitably, somebody will come and say, Mike, that's terrible. You shouldn't say that. You shouldn't wish
Mm-hmm,
ill on anybody.
mm-hmm,
Well, listen, I've been doing this for 4 years. Everybody knows who I am. Everybody
right.
knows who I talk. When I say something, I think about it. I've never taken back, I've said I've been wrong because I've been
Yeah,
wrong, but I'm not wrong about this. And I don't take back what I say because I
no,
think about what I say. And if you think I'm ashamed of wishing ill to her or anybody else, I mean, Kristi Noem is responsible for taking a 4-year-old child with fucking cancer and deporting them. So if something bad happens to her, like you say, it's fucking karma. It's
yeah.
earned. It's deserved.
And today, her ICE agents pulled a 3-year-old child out of a car to collect her for deportation.
Yeah.
A 3-year-old. I mean, they're arresting men, women who are not who they all this. They're dangerous. No, this is what you guys didn't expect and what you're getting. And also, they're cheating in the system because they say they want to do it legally. Then why are you arresting people that show up for court to do it legally?
Yeah.
Again, if something, I can't. I mean, I'm sitting here going, please don't let it be just something minor. That's sad, I know, and I'll pay for that later. I'll light a candle for my soul later. But my
And
God,
and
it,
and,
you,
and if I lived in the area, my my wife's a former teacher,
mhm,
so she's a very adept at performing transgender operations.
yes, very
We
good.
could
I
send her
mean,
over and change her into a fucking mule or something.
the thing about it too is like, and to top it all off, she kills dogs for sport.
Yeah.
She admits it.
She
And
was proud
so
of it. That was part of her
proud of it.
campaign.
Hi. Wow. And they just said she's been taken away. No, why she was the reason for it in DC? Was she at work?
I don't know that she must have been. They didn't say what it was about. They just say they put her in an ambulance, took her to the hospital. She was conscious. She talked to her staff. I just hope it's serious. I do. I'm sorry if that offends people. I got to tell you, offending people's kind of my hobby, so I'm
Oh,
fine with it.
wait till you start going through TikTok and this and the videos come up. Yeah, we're not bad.
No,
We're
we're not
not
bad.
bad. Those people, some of those people are going to go to hell with a smile. Sorry, I've seen you guys. I laugh at your stuff. Sorry, I will admit it. But that we're looking at like Pete Hesketh. There's rumors that Hesketh is drinking again.
I hope so
Seriously
because he's
drinking
fucking up
again.
big. You got to have an excuse.
And he's like out of his mind because this again, it's easy to do this from the outside if you have to it's easy to watch something and critique it so you get to do it.
Yeah,
And
it's
once you
armchair
do it,
quarterbacking is easy, but once you have to actually do the work of the job and know something, he's just incompetent as hell. He can't answer a question, either doesn't have the courage or the knowledge to do it. Is he drinking? Yeah, I'm guessing he was drinking because Donald Trump called him the other day and blamed him for that shitty parade. He's getting
I
a lot
mean,
of heat. Watch that fucker get fired.
yeah, I mean, he didn't get fired after. That's the irony. He didn't get fired for letting go um, military classified military information during a military operation. We don't
Yeah,
get fired for not being able to do a military parade. I mean, that seems karmic. And you look at the other two other people in this cabinet. His Commerce and Treasury Secretary are losers. I mean,
yeah.
they're just sitting there doing nothing. And then we get to Robert F. Kennedy. People have been jumping down Bill Lee, the other senator from Louisiana, as a doctor, who
Yeah.
passed the deciding vote for him to become HHS secretary.
And he's
Now
a
he
former
says
doctor.
he's a former doctor. We haven't lost in all this is that Robert F. Kennedy fired every CDC vaccine, the entire CDC vaccine panel.
Right.
Fired them. Done. Okay, that's great. As someone said, he's just trying to make polio great again.
Yeah,
I
no
mean,
shit.
and someone asked Bill Lee about it. He was like hemming and hawing. Dude, you fucked up. You knew it was the right thing to vote against him, but you were afraid of Trump. Same thing, afraid of Trump. And here's the thing I read. I ran across this in one of Aaron Parnas' little Substacks. They have come up with a treatment for HIV. This treatment, taken twice a year, will prevent HIV. It can be done for $25 a year annually. It's a cheap drug. The producer of the drug, a company called Gilead, there's our irony, is saying that they will put it on the market in about 2 weeks for $25,000 per treatment.
Christ.
I mean, again, you just can't fucking win. I mean,
No,
that's why people go, what the fuck? Something that can get rid of something that's been with us for what, 40 years? Popped out of nowhere, taking a lot of people's lives, can be
a
treated
lot of
for
people.
$25 to save people's lives. But for profit, they're going to charge you $25,000.
Yeah,
Again,
who?
second,
I mean, who's the villain here? It's our pharmaceutical companies and the government because they perpetuate this shit.
yeah, I mean, they were just saying they announced it's $25. You could treat people. But no, they got to make their money. They got to make their profit. I mean, I could say, yeah, we're going to do this for $200 a year. Hey, to me, that's reasonable on way of profit. I can live with that. Insurances will cover
Yeah,
that. 25,000 fucking dollars, please.
It's
and,
impossible
and
to
it's
justify, but they will try.
justified. And again, this is on top of everything else when it comes to men. This is the problem with our country right now is that we haven't been able to, through all this culture shit, racial shit, chaos, we haven't addressed the important things for our lives, like a good living wage, people being educated properly, people getting health care when they need it without having going to debt,
Yeah.
people dying unreasonably from lax gun laws, people, not having a way to live or a place to stay. It saddens me to watch just if you watch a TV show, they talk about homeless and all that. Why? Why can't those people get a home or get help? Why? Why is that way? Because we say they didn't work hard enough?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. I mean, it shouldn't be that way. And that's the thing. We haven't been able to address it because those who make money from those situations have twisted it to the rest of us see those people as less than human. If you want to answer the question, sadly, why these ICE agents can do what they want, because they look at everyone else as less than human. You're not human, you're a target. And that's the sad thing. We have lost so much empathy in this country over the
Oh, no
years.
question. No
And
question.
and it's hard to get it back because they've made lack of empathy a strength, not a weakness. And I
Elon said that.
what
Elon said empathy is a weakness, and then he came out 2 weeks later and wanted empathy.
yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. And the saddest thing about it is to watch the people that protest on Saturday was empathetic because they understand.
Yeah.
I don't know what's next for this country. I don't know what we're going to do. I'm watching it as you are watching, as everyone else going to watch this as they listen to this podcast. What do we do next? Honestly, right now, you hang on to your butts. You don't do anything egregious. If you see something bad, report it. If you're upset about something, speak out on it. Call your legislature. Yeah, I know it probably doesn't do good, but at least you made something. If you can't protest, I get it because my knees are shot. I'm not going out there. I can't do it, but at least speak out on it. Don't accept it as what it is. Okay. There are things that it is what it is when it comes to like life and math and certain things. But never, ever, ever think that in this country, what we're watching right now is what it is. It's a creation of our own.
Yeah.
We let this, but it is not the right way to do things. I mean, I can't say that enough. Um, it's not the right thing to do things, right way to do things. And I want everyone as homework assignment, is in addition to the Timothy McVeigh question, look up what happened to every dictator regime and what happened to the dictators and the regimes after it ended.
Right.
Someone did that on YouTube. It's really interesting to watch what happens because even though it is bad right now, it is bad. We're dealing with a flailing around. Donald Trump is a shark that got pulled out of the water right now, and sharks will flop around. Problem is, when they're on the deck of a boat, they still can bite you. They're
Right.
dangerous until you end them or they run out of air. We're at that point. I cannot see him getting back in the water right now. Can you? Can you see
No.
him um, become benefiting right now? I can't. He literally has burned it all. And if it wasn't for the Republican Party, it would be worse. And I don't think his idea that the military is going to solve this problem is going to come to fruition. I really don't.
Yeah. During his first term,
Um,
he was gaining steam, but now he's losing ground every day. He's
yeah,
less powerful today than he was yesterday, and tomorrow it'll be worse.
and we're going to, and it's going to. I want everyone to understand we can be optimistic, but also be realistic. Don't
Yeah.
be pessimistic. I mean, I'm a cynic, but I'm not a pessimist at this point because once you go pessimistic, that's what they want.
Yeah. And
That's
then
what
what
they. I
else is there
mean,
left to do?
yeah. I mean, if you go past, yeah, it is what it is. And don't go to what's not my problem. It is all your problem. It's all your
It's
problem.
everybody's problem.
It's everyone's
It's
problem. The far
everybody's problem.
left, yeah, the far left, stop it. Don't make fun of those people who are out there because they did more. The two things we need to do is to be optimistic, realistic, and look forward, not back. That's all, because that's all we can do. And I'm hoping that I watch the better nature of Americans, and when
Yeah.
push comes to shove, we push back. And I
Well, the
hope
important
Christy
thing,
Home has
I hope,
right here. But go ahead.
yeah.
Sorry.
Well, no, I'm just saying, you can't worry about yesterday because there's nothing you can do about it. The only thing you can do is work as hard as you can now to ensure the future is better because you can't control the future up until the time you do something today. Don't pine over the past. Don't worry about the future. Do what you need to do today. And people always ask, what do I need to do? Keep talking, keep loud, keep protesting, doing whatever you can do to control the narrative and expose these fucks for the horrible, stupid people they are. That's what we
Yeah,
can do. And don't think you have to take the whole thing on your shoulders. If you can only do just a little bit, that's fine. Just do it.
yeah.
If everybody did a little bit, it would be enough.
And thank God they're incompetent.
Yeah,
I've never. I mean, they
true.
are Ooh, they're incompetent. They're woof. Wow.
I knew they were incompetent, but I had no idea how incompetent they are, and it's
Well,
absolutely ridiculous. I mean, it's
it's
it's it's
hard.
like you said, Keystone Cops.
They're hard. It's hard to do those jobs. Really do those jobs. You
Yeah.
care about their hard work, but these guys don't want to do the work. They just want the accolades. What you're finding out, nah. And we're gonna. I think someone made a good comment. Made a comment as a prediction. He's giving Trump maybe 6 weeks before he's just basically gone. That he just can't do it anymore. Something's going to happen where he can't either be president or they have to do something about it. And
Yeah.
don't worry about JD Vance, y'all. JD Vance is nothing what you think he is. No.
Well, he
JD,
ideologically he is that way, but he has no charisma, no power. Nobody respects him. Nobody likes him. He's going to be pretty weak. I wouldn't be surprised if Donald Trump finds it inevitable that he's going to leave, that he somehow gets rid of JD and gets somebody else in there to take
what
over
do
that will actually give him a pardon.
yeah, what authoritarians always do in the end? They eat their own.
Yeah,
They
absolutely.
eat their own. He's eating Pete Hesketh now. Who's next? Ask, I mean, um, ask Mike Pence. How'd that go for you, Mikey?
All you have to
You
do is look in history.
you're
All you have
lucky
to
you
do
got
is
with your
look at
life.
all you have to do is look at Richard Nixon. Who was his vice
Yeah.
president? Spiro Agnew. Spiro Agnew got run out of fucking town for some criminal corrupt activity. Then they bring in Gerald Ford. Don't
If
be
you ever
surprised if something like that happens here.
quick history thing, did you see what he was convicted of? Oh my God, that man
I
was
was,
crooked.
yeah, he
He
was
was
crooked.
on the he was on the take his entire time that he was governor of Maryland.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was horrendous, even by today's standards.
yeah. He's a
Spiro
piece of
was
shit.
a crook. The problem with Nixon, he was paranoid. It turned him into a crook. But the point is that I mean, go back. They're going to start eating their own now as it gets worse. If you want to go to war, if that's going to happen, there's going to be so much pressure on him. The pressure on that military, on that. Do you think Pete Hesketh right now is not shitting his pants, thinking if Trump says I want to do this, how he's going to do it?
Yeah,
Because he fired all the competent generals. He got
yeah.
people who would worship him or listen to Trump who have no idea what they're going to do. I mean, there's no. I mean, if you're
They're
going to
gonna
do
look bad.
something, yeah, if you're going to do something like that, you're going to you have to do a strategic, or they're just going to let loose with everything, and then it's going to make it worse. And if you want America to be a pariah, watch that, because that's the thing. If we do something like that, we're no different than the Russians, what they did to Kiev today. We aren't.
I still. I may be wrong, but I still think sending the planes and the aircraft carrier over there and making these threats is is one of Donald Trump's bluffs because he doesn't have the
Mhm.
courage to really step into it. And it just goes back to the people on Wall Street. Trump always chickens out.
Right.
So hopefully
And the
he'll
thing
chicken
about
out
it
on
is,
this one.
if you want to, swing it around, that's cool. But I mean, because it's not going to benefit you, only yourself. The problem is, if he literally does it, you're talking about Wall Street. How's that going to affect the economy?
Not going to be
How are
good.
you going to? I mean, how are you going to affect that? How's that going to do for the U.S. dollar? How's it going to be for U.S. relations with everyone when you
Yeah.
do that? It's not good. But
And who's
they,
Iran's best friend? Who's Iran's best
Russia,
friend? There you go.
Russia.
I got to think Vlad's not too happy about this.
I mean, and again, I want everyone to understand. We're talking about this because, to be honest, I don't want him to do it. It scares the piss out of me because
Oh, no.
dominoes fall. I mean, look at the history of World War One. How did that start? One assassination, and then I mean, the greatest line that one of the best history lessons I ever got was from my world history teacher, Gloria Dismag, when they were talking about World War One. She was laying it out, and the dominoes fell, and
Yeah.
she goes, about a year into the war, they asked Otto Bismarck, who was the premier chairman chancellor of Germany, how did this start? How did we get here with the two front war? He answered, I really don't know. I don't know. And he was being honest because all of a sudden, one minute we weren't, next thing we're all at war. It all happened. And that's the thing. When you do something like this and you tip it, you don't know what's going to happen. Because especially when you have incompetent assholes who don't know how to stop it. Could you imagine people like Trump in charge of the White House during the Russian missile crisis?
Yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ.
We wouldn't be
Well,
here.
I look at him. That's the one thing that worries me most about this. If he takes some drastic action and bombs Iran or whatever the fuck he does, I liken it to going up to your toddler and saying, "Honey, here's an axe. Go get some firewood. See how
Yeah,
that's going to fucking turn out." That's the same thing.
yeah. And so I'm going to tell everyone it's okay to have a little bit of fear. Trust
Yeah.
me. I'm not going to say I'm not. I see those things come up and go that my stomach doesn't clench. I'm sorry, that's
Yeah.
the truth. But is it going to freeze you, or are you going to react to it, figure out something? That's where we're at.
That's where we're
So
at. We're gonna.
yeah, thank you, Mike, for doing this early for me. I appreciate you.
No
Um,
problem. I'm always looking forward to talking to you because you have some great insights. But I want to thank you for coming on. Uh,
Appreciate you.
uh, we had Tucker T yesterday. We got Will today. Tomorrow I've got Tony from South Carolina. That's going to be a good one too. So stick
Oh,
with
that's
us here on the
ask
Rational
him
Boomer.
ask him about South Carolina and some of the things that were happening in the protest. There was some weird ass shit in South Carolina during
Yeah, I'm sure
protests,
he'll have some insights. I'm sure. I'm looking
especially a
forward to it.
cop who got fired for arresting a protester because they were wearing a mask. He goes, "When is that illegal?" He said, "Because the president said so." He's fired now. Ask Tony about that. I guess he's got an opinion on that one.
I just saw something come up too. The California legislature is looking to pass a law that says
Preach.
no law enforcement can wear masks.
Yeah,
That'd be
wear a mask
interesting.
or not have any identification or badge.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's called the No Secret Police legislation because
Yeah.
that's what it is. If someone comes up to you, again, it's a two-way street with law enforcement. If you're coming to me, I want to know why. I need to
Yeah.
identify you. If you're coming up to me and saying because I can, that's not an answer. That's secret police. So
Right.
I'm glad they're making that move. And it'll pass. I mean, you got Democratic Senate and Assembly, so it should pass easily. Can they enforce it? I'd like to see what happens, but we'll get to that point when we get there.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. Well, for those of you listening, thanks for taking the time. I hope you have a great day, and we will talk to you again tomorrow.